Hello, students. Today we are going to talk about chapter number 6, the making of a scientist. Let's begin about the lesson. Richard Albright has received the Searle Scholar Award and the Shering Plough Award for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. It was his fascination for butterflies. Fascination means attraction for butterflies that opened the world of science to him. Means the world of science was opened only due to his interest in butterflies. Let's begin the chapter. At the age of 22, a former scout of the year excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cells work. Here, the writer says that in the age of 22 years, that scientist had filled the world of science with excitement. And how and what did he do? We'll come to know. Richard H. Albright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. This is the name of a journal, and his article with his roommate, one roommate also was there with him in the entire research. So their article was published in this journal. It was the first time this important scientific journal had ever published the work of college students. Means this was the first time when this journal was publishing the article of college students in sports that would be like making the big leagues at the age of 15 and hitting a home run your first time a bat. For Richard Albright, it was the first in a long string of achievements in science and other fields, and it all started with butterfly. Means he started this journey with a great starting, and it was the case like in sports. If at the age of 15 years, if you are breaking the record in sports, means if you are getting big achievement, so some and same was the case with him also, that at the very small age he started his achievements, or his the achievement was the first in the string of achievements, in the series of achievements. This was the first, and all started with butterflies. Means he did his outstanding work with butterflies. An only child, Albright grew up north of Reading, Pennsylvania. Reading here, the meaning of this word reading means this is the name of a place. Means पेंसिल्वेनिया का एक रीडिंग नाम की जगह है. He grew up there. There was not much I could do there, he said. I certainly couldn't play football or baseball with a team of one, but there was one thing I could do, collecting. Means from the very beginning he started collecting things. He had, or he was fond of collecting things. He was not at all able to play football or baseball with the team, but he could do that was collecting, or the collection of things. So he did, means the same thing he did. And did he ever, and forever means for a long time, हमेशा वो यही करता था. Beginning in kindergarten means very in small classes, in very early age, Ebrard collected butterflies with the same determination that has marked all his activities. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. Not only he collected butterflies, he had the collection of rocks, fossils, means jivashma, and coins also. He became an eager astronomer too, sometimes stargazing all night. Means he was eager. Eager means very curious. Utsahi, astronomer also he was, and sometimes for the whole night he would gaze, he would look towards the stars. So we can say he was an astronomer also. From the first, he had a driving curiosity along with a bright mind. Means from the very beginning, he had a sharp, यहाँ पे driving means sharp, तीव्र, तेज, curiosity along with a bright mind. He had a bright mind, but from the very beginning he was very curious. He also had a mother who encouraged his interest in learning, and his mother was the first one who encouraged his interest in learning things. She took him on trips, bought him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting materials, and other equipment, and helped him in many other ways. Means we can say that it was her mother who helped him a lot with all kind of helps, taking him to the trips or buying him many necessary items, necessary things for him. I was his only companion until he started school, his mother said. After that, I would bring home friends for him. She says that his mother was the only companion, only friend until he started school. Means before going to school, she was the only friend for him, and after that, she would bring home friends for him. But at night, we just did things together. She was very helpful everywhere for him. Richie is used for him, Richard Ebright. Okay, Richie is the word. Richard Ebright was my whole life after his father died when Richie was in third grade. Means when he was in third standard, his father died, and his mother says that he was my whole life after his father's death. She and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table. If he didn't have things to do, I found work for him, not physical work, but learning things. His mother said he liked it, he wanted to learn. Now, these are the statements of his mother, Richard's mother. She says that every evening they spent in dining room, and if they didn't, mean if he, Richard, didn't have anything to do, then she found work for Richard, and not only physical work but to learn new things. Okay, like this, it was her mother who helped him growing everywhere, or all round development for Richard. His mother said he liked it, he wanted to learn, and he was also very interested, very keen to learn new things. He wanted to learn. By the time he was in the second grade, Ebright had collected all 25 species of butterflies found around his hometown. You can see the following box. Here the writer says when he was in second grade, he collected all kind of species, means all 25 kind of species or of butterflies which were found around his hometown where he lived. And you can see which kind of butterflies were these. This is the index. You can see gossamer winged butterflies, wood nymphs and satyrs, monarchs, white and sulphurs, snout butterfly, brush footed butterflies. Okay, and these are the subdivisions of these butterflies. So these were the butterflies he collected during or when he was in second grade only. That probably would have been the end of my butterfly collecting, he said. But then my mother got me a children's book called The Travels of Monarch X. That book, which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America, opened the world of science to the eager young collector. Collector means one who collects the things. So here he says, the writer says, that probably would have been the end of my butterfly collecting. That would have been the end, because he collected all 25 kinds of butterflies. So that could be the end of his collection. But at the same time, his mother got him a children's book, and its name was The Travels of Monarch X. And that book, due to that book, or that book told that little boy, Richard, that how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America, and that opened the world of science to the young collector, and who the young collector was. Richard Ebright was the young collector. Means that thing or that book opened the world of science to that eager Richard Ebright. At the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. They were asked to take butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of the University of Toronto, Canada. Ebright's mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart, and soon Ebright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of monarchs. Anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. This paragraph shows that, as we read in previous paragraph, that the small book or the book of children that changed the life of that little scientist, how. And further he says that at the end of that book, it was requested, or it was invited, or the readers were invited to help study or the study of butterfly migrations, and they were asked to take butterflies for research by a professor, Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart, and he belonged to University of Toronto, Canada, whom his mother, Ebright's mother, wrote a letter, and very soon Ebright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of monarch, means monarch butterflies की के विंग्स पे वो इस तरह से एडेसिव का यूज करना उन्होंने शुरू कर दिया. एडेसिव अ काइंड ऑफ ग्लू वहाँ पे और टैग लगाना शुरू कर दिया, so that he can identify some particular butterflies. Anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. The butterfly collecting season around reading lasts 6 weeks in late summer. Means that season remains there around that reading is the name of place, as we already mentioned. It remained for 6 weeks. If you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch very many. Means if you catch one by one such butterflies, so it will not be beneficial for you, or it will be very difficult for you to catch many butterflies within the short span of 6 weeks. So the next step for Ebright was to raise a flock of butterflies. Now he wanted to raise, means grow a flock of butterflies. So he did one thing. He would catch a female monarch, take her eggs, and raise them in his basement through their life cycle from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly. Means he found a way that he caught a female butterfly, female monarch, and he took its eggs and raised them in his basement. Means he made his basement is the place for his experiments for of butterflies, and he did there his own experiments through their life cycle, through the life cycle of butterflies from egg, caterpillar, pupa, and pupa to adult butterfly. Then he would take the butterflies wings and let them go. तो फाइनली वो उन विंग्स पे जब वो बटरफ्लाइज फुल ग्रोन बटरफ्लाइज जब हो जाती थी, तो उनके विंग्स पे वो टेक करता एंड फिर उनको जाने देता. फॉर सेवरल ईयर्स हिज बेसमेंट वाज होम टू थाउजेंड्स ऑफ मोनार्क्स इन डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. मींस फॉर मेनी ईयर्स his basement, his home was the home of thousands of monarch butterflies in different stages of development. You can see this graph, number and kinds of butterflies collected in 6 weeks. Okay. Further, he says, eventually I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. It's tedious. Tedious means tiresome, बोरियत भरा, थका देने वाला, and there is not much feedback. Now finally he was very tired and he got bored catching these butterflies and in the entire process. So he says it's tedious and there is not much feedback, Ebright said. In all the time I did it, he laughed. Only 2 butterflies I had tagged were recaptured. Finally he laughed and said this thing, that the butterflies I tagged and released, out of thousands of butterflies, I only got 2, or 2 were recaptured, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived, and those were also not far than 70 miles from the place where he lived, means from that the place reading. Then in the 7th grade he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. County is used for a small area which has its own independent government. उसको county कहते हैं, एक पूरा का पूरा separate area. So when he was in 7th grade, he got the chance in, or he participated in science fair and he lost. It was really sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something. Means he lost in that fair. Okay, and it was very sad feeling for him because he used to sit there idly and he was not at all able to do anything new where everybody else were doing something. Ebright said this thing. His entry was slides of frog tissues which he showed under a microscope. Means his work was to show through the microscope, and his entry was slides of frog tissues. He realized that winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make a neat display. What he did. And those who won, those who won, they tried to do real experiments. Means they did the experiment in real sense, though he was not at all able to do that thing. He only displayed simply.